There are moments in life when loss feels unbearable. Moments when what was once in your hands has slipped away: opportunities, relationships, peace, confidence, health, dreams you prayed over, seasons you thought would never end. You look around and wonder how things changed so quickly. You ask questions that seem to have no answers. Why did this happen? Why did God allow this? Why does it feel like everyone else is moving forward while you are standing in the ruins of what used to be? But what if your loss is not your ending? What if what feels like subtraction is actually divine preparation? What if the God who allowed something to leave your life is already preparing something far greater to return? One of the most difficult lessons of faith is learning to trust God when your hands are empty. It is easy to praise when everything is intact. It is easy to believe when prayers are answered quickly. It is easy to trust when the path is clear. But true faith begins when what you depended on is taken away, and all you have left is the promise of God. Sometimes God allows loss because He is teaching you that your source was never what you lost. Your source was always Him. You may have lost money, but God is your provider. You may have lost relationships, but God remains your constant companion. You may have lost opportunities, but God is still the author of your future. You may have lost strength, but God gives power to the weary. What left your hands never left God's control. There are seasons when heaven seems silent. You pray, but answers do not come. You wait, but doors do not open. You cry, but nothing appears to change. In those moments, it is tempting to believe that God has forgotten you. But silence is not absence. Delay is not denial. God may be quiet, but He is never inactive. While you are grieving what was lost, God is arranging what is coming. Sometimes He has to remove what you were depending on so that you can learn to depend fully on Him. Sometimes He allows a door to close because the room behind it was too small for your future. Sometimes He permits heartbreak because your heart was attached to something that could not carry your destiny. Loss can feel cruel, but God never wastes pain. Every tear you have cried has been seen. Every sleepless night has been counted. Every silent prayer whispered through trembling lips has been heard. Even keeps record of your suffering, and God has not overlooked your faithfulness. What if the very thing you thought was destroying you is actually building the foundation for your greatest blessing? There is a divine principle woven throughout life. What is surrendered to God is never truly lost. When something leaves your life, your first instinct may be to chase it, to fix it, to recover it by your own strength. But sometimes God asks you to let go because He intends to give back more than what you released. Not always the same thing, not always in the same form, but always with greater purpose. God does not merely restore, He multiplies. He returns peace with deeper understanding. He returns joy with greater gratitude. He returns strength with renewed wisdom. He returns opportunities with better timing. He returns relationships with clearer boundaries. He returns dreams with stronger faith. The enemy may have taken something from you, but he cannot steal what God has already planned to restore. What was stolen can be returned. What was broken can be rebuilt. What was delayed can still arrive. What seemed dead can live again. Do not let temporary loss convince you. Permanent defeat. Some of the greatest blessings in life arrive after seasons of painful emptiness. The farmer understands this mystery. A seed must disappear into the ground before it can produce abundance. To the untrained eye, the seed looks lost. It looks buried. It looks forgotten. But underground, transformation is taking place. What appears to be burial is often preparation. You may feel buried right now, hidden, overlooked, forgotten. But perhaps you are not buried at all. Perhaps you are planted. And planted things grow. God is developing something beneath the surface that you cannot yet see. Roots are forming. Strength is increasing. Character is deepening. Trust is expanding. Do not despise the hidden season. The hidden season is where God does His deepest work. When restoration comes in, you will understand why certain things had to be removed. You will look back and realize that what felt like rejection was protection. What felt like abandonment was redirection. What felt like loss was actually preparation for increase. God knows how to restore with interest. Not just what was lost, but more than what was lost. Not just enough to survive, but enough. To overflow. He can restore years that seem wasted. He can redeem mistakes that seem irreversible. He can rebuild confidence that has been shattered. He can renew hope that has almost disappeared. Nothing is too damaged for divine restoration. You may feel that time has been stolen from you. Perhaps years have slipped away in disappointment, grief, or waiting. You wonder if it is too late. It is not too late. God is not limited by time. He can do in one moment what would take years by human effort. He can accelerate what seemed delayed. He can open doors no one person can shut. He can place favor on your life that changes everything. But restoration often begins with trust. Will you trust Him before you see the answer? Will you believe in His goodness while your hands are still empty? Will you praise Him while the promise is still unseen? Faith is not pretending pain does not exist. Faith is choosing to believe that pain does not have the final word. God has the final word, and His final word over your life is not loss. It is restoration. It is redemption. It is abundance. It is purpose. Do not allow bitterness to take root while you wait. Do not let disappointments harden your heart. Guard your spirit. Stay close to God. Continue praying. Continue believing. Continue walking forward, even when the road feels uncertain. Your story is not finished. The chapter you are in may feel heavy, but it is not the conclusion. God is writing something greater than you can imagine. One day you will see that what you lost was not the end of your blessing, it was the beginning of a deeper one. One day what made you weep will become part of your testimony. One day the emptiness will be filled. One day the broken pieces will fit together in ways you never expected. And when God restores, it will be undeniable. You will know it was Him. The peace will be too deep to explain. The provision will be too perfect to dismiss. The timing will be too exact to call coincidence. The joy will be too full to contain. So hold on. Even if all you can hold is a single promise, even if your faith feels small, even if your heart feels tired, hold on, because God is not finished. What was lost is not lost forever. What was taken is not beyond His reach. What has been empty will not remain empty. God is preparing to return what you lost, not merely to see it, but to redeem it, multiply it, and use it for a purpose greater than you can currently understand. There are moments in life when what you lose feels impossible to understand. You had plans. You had hopes. You had something you held tightly, something you believed would always remain. Then suddenly it is gone. A relationship ends. An opportunity disappears. A dream falls apart. Your peace is disturbed. Your confidence weakens. And you are left standing in the silence, asking God why. Why did this happen? Why did this have to leave? Why would God allow something so painful? What we often fail to realize is that God can use loss as one of His greatest tools for preparation. What feels like removal may actually be divine repositioning. What feels like emptiness may actually be God making room. Sometimes the very things we mourn are the things God had to move so He could place something better in our hands. It is difficult to accept this when the pain is fresh. Loss can cloud your vision. It can make you believe that God is punishing you, ignoring you, or withholding His goodness from your life. But God does not operate with cruelty. He operates with purpose. Even when you do not understand His methods, you can trust His heart. Sometimes God removes what you are depending on because He wants to remind you that your true security has never been in things, people, or circumstances. Your security has always been in Him. You may have trusted in a relationship, but God wants you to trust His love more. You may have leaned on an opportunity, but God wants you to remember He is your provider. You may have built your identity around something temporary, but God wants to anchor your identity in something eternal. Loss has a way of exposing what we have placed above God in our hearts. It reveals attachments we did not know we had. It uncovers fears we tried to ignore. It teaches us where our trust has truly been placed. And though that process can be painful, it is necessary. Before restoration comes, preparation must happen. God is not interested in simply giving you back what you had. He is interested in preparing you for what you are about to receive. Sometimes if He restored things immediately, you would not be ready to handle them. Your heart might still be too dependent. Your faith might still be too weak. Your perspective might still be too narrow. So He uses the season of loss to strengthen you. He teaches you how to pray differently. He teaches you how to wait patiently. He teaches you how to trust deeply. He teaches you how to stand when everything familiar has been taken away. And in that process, something begins to change inside you. Your faith becomes less conditional. Your trust becomes less fragile. Your peace becomes less dependent on circumstances. Your relationship with God becomes more intimate than ever before. What once felt like devastation begins to reveal itself as preparation. Think about how often growth happens in hidden places. A seed must disappear into the ground before it can rise into something greater. To the eye, it looks buried. It looks forgotten. It looks lost. But beneath the surface, life is forming. Roots are stretching. Strength is developing. Something unseen is taking place. The same is true in your life. What feels like being buried may actually be being planted. God may have allowed certain things to fall away because He is preparing your roots for greater stability. He is deepening your character. He is building endurance. He is teaching you lessons that prosperity alone could never teach. Pain can become a classroom. Loss can become a refining fire. And God can use every tear as part of the process. You may not understand today why certain doors closed. You may not understand why some prayers were not answered the way you hoped. You may not understand why people walked away, why opportunities vanished, or why plans collapsed. But one day, clarity will come. One day you will look back and realize that what you thought was rejection was actually protection. You will understand that what you thought was punishment was actually preparation. You will see that God was removing obstacles you could not identify. You will recognize that He was preserving you for something greater than what you lost. Sometimes we ask God to restore what was taken, while He is preparing to give us something entirely different and infinitely better. But to receive what God has prepared, we must surrender what we have lost. We must release bitterness. We must let go of resentment. We must stop replaying what happened and begin trusting what God is doing now. Preparation requires surrender. You cannot move into a new season while clinging to the pain of the old. 1, you cannot embrace restoration while refusing to release disappointment. God asks you to place your broken pieces in His hands not because He wants to dismiss your pain, but because He knows how to rebuild what has been shattered. He knows how to take what was damaged and create something beautiful. He knows how to transform your wounds into wisdom. He knows how to use your losses to prepare you for blessings you could not yet imagine. Even now, while you are grieving, He is working. Even now, while you are questioning, He is arranging. Even now, while you are waiting, He is preparing. Nothing has been wasted. Not your tears, not your prayers, not your pain, not your waiting. Every part of this season is being used for your good, even if you cannot yet see how. The God who allowed this loss is the same God who sees the full picture. He knows what must be removed so something greater can grow. He knows what must be surrendered so something stronger can be built. He knows what must end so something better can begin. And though your heart may still ache, trust that God is not finished. What feels like loss today may be the very foundation of tomorrow's blessing. G, what feels like emptiness today may be the space God is preparing to fill with abundance. What feels like heartbreak today may become the testimony that strengthens your faith forever. There are seasons in life when waiting becomes one of the hardest assignments God will ever ask of you. You pray, and heaven seems silent. You ask for direction, but no answer comes. You plead for relief, but the burden remains. Day after day, you look for signs that something is changing, yet everything appears exactly the same. It is in these moments that faith is tested most deeply, not when prayers are answered immediately, but when God chooses to make you wait. Waiting can feel uncomfortable because it often feels unproductive. You want movement. You want certainty. You want visible proof that God is working. But God often does His greatest work in the unseen places. While you are looking for external change, He may be focused on internal transformation. While you are asking Him to change your circumstances, He may be using those circumstances to change you. The waiting season is not empty. It is not meaningless. It is not wasted time. It is one of the most sacred places where trust is built. LT and strength is formed. Many people assume that if God is silent, He must be absent. But silence does not mean abandonment. A teacher is often quiet during the test, not because they have left the room, but because they are watching what the student has learned. In the same way, God may seem quiet, not because He has forgotten you, but because He is strengthening what He has placed inside you. Faith that depends only on visible blessings is fragile. It can easily collapse when circumstances become difficult. But faith that learns to trust God in silence becomes unshakable. It grows roots. It becomes steady. It learns how to stand when everything around it feels uncertain. Trusting God while you wait requires a different kind of vision. It means believing that even when you cannot see His hand is still guiding you. It means understanding that delay is not denial. Just because the answer has not arrived does not mean it is not on the way. God's timing is often different from ours because His perspective is greater than ours. We see moments. He sees the full story. We focus on immediate relief. He focuses on eternal purpose. We want quick answers. He desires lasting transformation. Sometimes God delays because He is preparing the blessing. Other times He delays because He is preparing you. If He gave you everything you asked for the moment you asked for it, would you be ready to carry it? Would your character be strong enough? Would your faith be deep enough? Would your heart be prepared to handle what He is about to place in your hands? Waiting has a way of developing qualities that instant answers never could. Patience is born in waiting. Endurance is built in waiting. Humility is formed in waiting. Dependence on God is deepened in waiting. The waiting season strips away false securities. It reveals what you truly trust. It exposes whether your faith is rooted in God's character or only in His blessings. This can be painful, but it is necessary. There are moments when you may feel forgotten. You may look at others and wonder why their prayers seem to be answered while yours remain suspended in silence. You may begin comparing timelines, questioning your worth, or wondering if you have done something wrong. But comparison is dangerous in the waiting season. God writes every story differently. What He is doing in someone else's life may not be what He is doing in yours. Their timing is not your timing. Their path is not your path. Their season is not your season. Your assignment is not to understand every delay. Your assignment is to remain faithful. Faithfulness in waiting means continuing to pray when answers have not come. It means continuing to trust when circumstances do not improve. It means continuing to praise even when your heart feels heavy. It means waking up each day and choosing belief over fear. That choice may not feel dramatic. It may feel small, quiet, repetitive. But heaven sees every act of trust, every prayer whispered in uncertainty, every tear cried in private, every moment you choose to believe instead of giving up. God sees it all. And while you are waiting, He is working in ways you cannot yet understand. He may be closing doors that would have harmed you. He may be arranging connections that will bless you. He may be protecting you from things you cannot see. He may be building strength in you for battles you have not yet faced. Waiting often feels like standing still, but spiritually there is movement. Transformation is happening. Roots are growing. Strength is increasing. Clarity is developing. Your relationship with God is becoming deeper than it was before. Sometimes God allows the waiting season because He wants to become enough for you. When everything else is uncertain, He invites you to rest in His unchanging nature. His promises remain. His love remains. His faithfulness remains. His presence remains. Even when the answer is delayed, God Himself is still with you, and that is enough. The greatest danger in waiting is not delay, it is discouragement. Discouragement whispers that nothing is changing. Discouragement tells you your prayers are unheard. Discouragement urges you to give up just before breakthrough arrives. But faith speaks differently. Faith says God is still working. Faith says this season has purpose. Faith says what feels hidden is not forgotten. Faith says the silence will not last forever. There is hidden strength being built inside you right now. A strength that will carry you through future storms. A trust that will not collapse under pressure. A peace that circumstances cannot steal. A hope that does not depend on immediate answers. You may not feel stronger yet, but every day you choose trust over fear, strength is growing. Every day you keep believing, your faith is deepening. Every day you wait with expectation, your heart is being prepared. One day the answer will come. One day what felt delayed will suddenly make sense. One day you will look back and understand why the waiting was necessary. You will see how God protected you. You will see how He shaped you. You will see how He carried you. You will realize that what felt like silence was actually divine preparation. And you will understand that the waiting season was never empty, it was filled with the hidden work of God, building in you a strength and hope that could only be formed by learning to trust Him when you could not yet see the outcome. There are seasons in life when it feels as though too much has been taken from you. You look back and see years that seem wasted, opportunities that slipped away, relationships that ended, dreams that never came to life, and prayers that appeared to go unanswered. You carry the weight of what could have been, and sometimes the pain is not just about what was lost, but about what you fear can never be recovered. You wonder if restoration is possible. You wonder if life can ever feel whole again. You wonder if God can truly return what has been taken. But God does not operate according to human limitations. He is not restricted by what has been broken, delayed, or lost. What feels impossible to you is never impossible to Him. He is a God who restores, but His restoration is never small. He does not simply replace what was taken. He returns with greater purpose, deeper meaning, and a blessing that carries the mark of His perfect wisdom. Human beings often think of restoration as getting back exactly what they had before. We want things returned to the way they were. We want old doors reopened. We want broken relationships repaired exactly as they once existed. We want missed opportunities to reappear in their original form. But God's restoration is often different from our expectations because His plans are greater than our memories. Sometimes He does not restore the same thing because He intends to give something better. Sometimes He does not reopen the old door because a greater one is ahead. Sometimes He does not rebuild the same path because He is leading you to a higher destination. God's restoration is not about returning you to the past. It is about moving you forward into something greater. That can be difficult to accept when your heart is still attached to what was lost. It takes faith to believe that what lies ahead can be better than what lies behind. It takes surrender to release the old in order to receive the new. But God asks you to trust that His plans are not diminished by your losses. What has been taken from you may feel significant, but it has not reduced God's ability to bless your life. He can restore peace where anxiety has lived. He can restore joy where sorrow has settled. He can restore confidence where fear has taken root. He can restore purpose where confusion has lingered. He can restore hope where disappointment has tried to build a home. And often He restores these things with greater depth than you had before. The peace He gives after a storm is stronger than the peace you had before the storm. The joy He gives after sorrow is richer than the joy that existed before pain. The faith He builds through hardship is stronger than the faith you carried when life was easy. Nothing is wasted in His hands. Not your tears, not your failures, not your regrets, not why. Our delays, even the years you believe were lost, can be redeemed. You may think time has been stolen from you. You may look back and feel grief over what could have been accomplished, what should have happened, or where you expected to be by now. But God can restore years. He can do in one moment what would have taken decades by human effort. He can accelerate healing. He can rebuild confidence. He can open opportunities so suddenly and so precisely that what once felt delayed begins to feel divinely timed. God is not late. He is intentional. Every delay carries a purpose. Every closed door carries wisdom. Every detour carries hidden preparation. And when the season of restoration arrives, you often realize that what felt like a setback was actually part of the process that prepared you to receive more than you imagined. Restoration also changes your perspective. You begin to see your past differently. You no longer see only what was taken. You begin to see what was learned. You begin to recognize how pain strengthened you. You begin to understand how disappointment taught you dependence on God. You begin to realize that what once felt like destruction was often divine refinement. The person you become through loss is often more prepared for blessing than the person you were before. God uses broken places to create stronger foundations. He uses disappointment to deepen wisdom. He uses waiting to increase gratitude. He uses pain to build compassion. And when He restores, the blessing is not only external, it is internal. You do not simply receive something back. You receive a stronger heart, a clearer mind, a deeper faith, a more resilient spirit, a closer relationship with God. This is why His restoration is so much greater than mere replacement. It carries purpose. It carries maturity. It carries testimony. What you have gone through will not only bless you, it will one day strengthen someone else. Your story of loss and restoration will become proof that God remains faithful. Others will see how He carried you. They will hear how He healed you. They will witness how He rebuilt what seemed impossible to repair. And they will find hope through your testimony. The enemy may have intended your loss to weaken your faith. He may have hoped disappointment would make you bitter. He may have wanted pain to silence your trust. T in God. But God can turn every attack into evidence of His goodness. He can use what was meant to break you as the very foundation of your future strength. He can turn your mourning into joy. He can transform your weakness into power. He can bring beauty from ashes. That is the nature of divine restoration. It does not erase the pain, but it redeems it. It does not pretend the loss never happened, but it gives the loss meaning. It does not simply return what was taken, but it multiplies what remains. You may not see it yet. You may still be in the middle of uncertainty. You may still be grieving what has not returned. But trust this, God is not finished. He is preparing restoration in ways you cannot yet imagine. He is arranging blessings you have not yet seen. He is building a future that is stronger than your past. And when His restoration arrives, it will carry more than relief. It will carry purpose. It will carry abundance. It will carry evidence that every painful chapter was held in His hands. What you lost was never beyond His reach. What was broken was never beyond His power. What felt empty was never outside His ability to fill. And what seemed little, the end may soon become the beginning of a greater testimony, proving that God does not merely give back what was taken, He returns it transformed, multiplied, and filled with a purpose that could only come from His perfect and faithful hands. As you reflect on every loss, every delay, and every painful season you have walked through, remember this truth. Nothing in your life has escaped the hands of God. What felt like an ending was never the end of your story. What felt like silence was never the absence of His presence. What felt like loss was never beyond His power to restore. Even in your darkest moments, when your heart was heavy and your questions were many, God was still working quietly, faithfully, and intentionally preparing something far greater than you could see. The pain you endured was not meaningless. The waiting was not wasted. The tears you cried were not unnoticed. Every struggle became part of a greater process, shaping your faith, strengthening your spirit, and preparing your heart for the blessings God has already set aside for you. He has been teaching you to trust Him when your hands were empty, to believe Him when the answers were delayed, and to to hope when life made no sense. These moments were not designed to destroy you. They were designed to transform you. And now, as you continue forward, do not let fear convince you that your best days are behind you. Do not allow disappointment to define your future. Lift your eyes beyond what was lost and begin to expect what God is about to restore. He is able to redeem every broken piece, recover every wasted year, and return what was taken with greater purpose, deeper peace, and overflowing abundance. What the enemy meant for defeat, God is turning into your testimony. What once made you weep may soon become the very reason you praise. Trust that God's timing is perfect, His plans are good, and His restoration will be worth every season you had to endure. One day you will look back and understand that every closed door, every painful goodbye, and every unanswered prayer was part of a divine plan leading you to something better than you could have imagined. Your story is not defined by what you lost, it is defined by the faithfulness of the God who is restoring you. Hold on to hope. Stay rooted in faith. Keep believing even when you cannot yet see the evidence. Because the aim God who carried you through the storm is the God who will lead you into restoration, and when He does, it will be more beautiful, more meaningful, and more abundant than anything you ever lost. Asterisk, asterisk, what God is preparing for you will be greater than what you left behind, so keep trusting, because your restoration is closer than you think. Asterisk, dot.